Once upon a time, in a small village in Nigeria, there lived a woman named Nneka. Nneka was a hardworking woman who loved to cook. Every day, she woke up early in the morning, even before the sun rose, to prepare her food. She would gather her pots, pan, and all the ingredients she needed. She cooked rice, beans, and stew with fresh vegetables and spices from her small garden. After cooking, she would pack everything and head to the village market to sell her food. Nneka's food, Mama puts, was small but neat. She always made sure her Mama puts was clean and her food was nicely displayed. She hoped that people would come and buy her food. However, every day was the same. People walked past her Mama puts without stopping. They didn't even look at her food. They went to other Mama puts where the food seemed more appealing to them. Nneka felt sad and frustrated. She wondered why no one wanted to buy her food. She knew she used the best ingredients and cooked with love, but still, people did not come to her Mama put joints. She watched as other women in the market sold their food. Their Mama puts were always busy with customers. People praised their food and came back for more. Nneka's heart ached as she watched the other women. She felt like she was doing something wrong. She worked very hard every day, but it seemed like all her efforts were in vain. She began to lose hope. One day, as Nneka sat alone at her Mama puts, she saw her friend Ada walking by. Ada sold fruits at the market, and her Mama puts was always crowded with customers. Ada saw Nneka sitting alone and looking sad, so she decided to go and talk to her. "Nneka, why do you look so sad?" Ada asked as she sat next to her. "No one buys my food," Nneka replied with a heavy sigh. "I cook every day, but people just walk past my Mama puts. I don't know what to do." Ada looked at Nneka with sympathy. She knew how hard Nneka worked and how much she loved cooking. Ada thought for a moment and then said, "Maybe you need to try something new, something different. I heard a strange story about a secret ingredient that can make food very sweet and irresistible." Nneka's eyes widened with curiosity. "What is this ingredient?" she asked, hoping that it could help her save her business. "I don't know exactly," Ada said, shaking her head, "but I heard an old woman in the next village knows about it. They say she has a special recipe that can make any food delicious." Nneka was curious and desperate. She decided that she would visit the old woman and find out more about these secret ingredients. She hoped that it would be the answer to her problems. She wanted to save her business and make her Mama puts successful. The next morning, Nneka woke up early, even before the sun had risen. She was determined to visit the old woman and find out about the secret ingredients. She packed some food and water for the journey and set off on foot to the next village. The road to the next village was long and dusty. Nneka walked for hours under the hot sun. She felt tired and thirsty, but she didn't give up. She was determined to find the old woman and learn her secrets. She hoped that this journey would be worth it. Finally, after a long and tiring walk, Nneka arrived at the next village. She asked some villagers where she could find the old woman. They pointed her to a small hut at the edge of the village. Nneka thanked them and walked towards the hut. When she reached the hut, Nneka saw an old woman sitting outside. The old woman's name was Mama Ife. She had gray hair and wrinkles on her face, but her eyes were bright and full of wisdom. Nneka greeted her politely. "Good afternoon, Mama Ife," Nneka said, bowing her head. "I am Nneka. I sell food at the markets in my village. but no one buys it. I heard you know about the secret ingredients that makes food very sweet and delicious. Can you help me? Mama Ife looked at Nneka with her wise old eyes. She nodded slowly and said, "Yes, I know about it, but it is not something you should use lightly. It is a dangerous thing." Nneka felt a shiver run down her spine. She wondered what could be so dangerous about the secret ingredients, but she was desperate. She needed to save her business. "Please, Mama Ife, I need to save my business. I will do anything," she pleaded. Mama Ife sighed and leaned in close to Nneka. She whispered, "The secret ingredients is man's manhood. If you cook with them, your food will be irresistible. But remember, it is very wrong." Nneka was shocked. She could not believe what she was hearing. "Men's manhood?" she repeated, her voice trembling. She couldn't imagine doing something so terrible. "Yes," Mama Ife said, "it is a dark secret. Think carefully before you use it. It can bring you success, but it will also bring you great trouble." Nneka left Mama Ife's hut with a heavy heart. She walked back to her small village, deep in thought. She didn't know what to do. She wanted to save her business, but this secret was terrible. She felt lost and confused. As Nneka walked back home, she thought about her options. She could try the secret ingredients and hope it would make her food successful, but she knew it was wrong. She didn't want to harm anyone. She felt torn between her desperation to save her business and her conscience telling her it was wrong. When Nneka reached her home, she sat down and cried. She didn't know what to do. She felt like she was at the end of her rope. She needed a solution, but this secret was too terrible to consider. Nneka decided to sleep on it. She hoped that by morning, she would have a clearer mind and be able to make the right decisions. She prayed for guidance and wisdom. She wanted to find a way to save her business without doing something wrong. As Nneka lay in bed that night, she thought about her journey and the things Mama Ife had told her. She felt a heavy weight on her heart. She didn't know what the future held, but she hoped that somehow she would find a way to make her food business successful and do it the right way. And so Nneka drifted off to sleep, her mind filled with thoughts of the secret ingredients and the difficult situation she had to meet. She hoped that in the morning, she would have the strength and wisdom to choose the right paths. The next morning, Nneka woke up with a heavy heart. She had not slept well. She kept thinking about what Mama Ife had told her. She knew using men's manhood to cook food was wrong, but she was desperate. She needed to save her business. Nneka went to the market as usual. She set up her mama put and prepared her food. But as the day went by, no one came to buy her food. People walked past her mama puts without stopping. They went to other mama puts where the food seemed more appealing to them. Nneka felt sad and frustrated. She knew she had to do something different. As the market closed for the day, Nneka packed up her things and went home. She couldn't stop thinking about the secret ingredients. She knew it was wrong, but she was desperate. She needed to save her business. She decided she would try it just once. She hoped it would make a difference. That night, Nneka couldn't sleep. She lay in bed thinking about what she was about to do. She felt scared and guilty. She decided she would go to a nearby village and find a man. She hoped no one would find out. The next morning, Nneka woke up early. She packed some food and water for the journey and set off on foot to the nearby village. She felt nervous and scared. She hoped she wouldn't get caught. When Nneka reached the village, she looked around for a man. She saw a man walking alone. He looked friendly. Nneka approached him and offered him some money. The man was confused, but accepted the money. When he wasn't looking, Nneka knocked him out and took his manhood. She quickly ran to her village, shaking with fear and guilt. Back in her village, Nneka felt scared and guilty. She couldn't believe what she had done. She knew it was wrong, but she hoped it would make her Maput's business successful. She decided to cook her usual food and add the secret ingredients. She hoped it would make a difference. The next morning, Nneka woke up early. She prepared her usual food, but added the secret ingredients. She cooked rice, beans, and stew with a man's manhood. Her hands trembled and her heart raced. She felt scared and guilty. She hoped no one would find out. Nneka took the food to the market. She set up her maputs and waited. At first, no one came. She felt a knot in her stomach. She wondered if she had made a terrible mistake. Then a man named Chidi walked by. He was one of the regular market goers. He usually ignored Nneka's maputs, but today he stopped. "What smells so good?" Chidi asked. Nneka smiled nervously. "Please try my food," she said, offering him a plate. Chidi tasted the food. His eyes widened with surprise. "This is amazing," he exclaimed. "What did you do differently?" Nneka just smiled and said, "A new recipe." Word quickly spread. More people came to taste Nneka's food. They all loved it. Her maputs became busy, and she sold out by noon. Nneka was happy but scared. She knew her secret was dangerous. Nneka's food was the talk of the village. People came from far and wide to taste her delicious dishes. Nneka was busy every day. She made more money than ever before, but she could not shake the feeling of guilt. Every night, Nneka had nightmares. She saw the faces of the men she had harmed. She woke up sweating and trembling. She knew what she was doing was wrong, but she was addicted to the success. One day, a stranger named Chidi came to the village. He was new in the village and had heard about Nneka's amazing food. He decided to try it for himself. Chidi bought a plate of rice, beans, and stew. He took one bite and was instantly impressed. "This is the best food I have ever tasted," he said to Nneka. Nneka smiled, but her heart was heavy. She thanked Chidi and continued serving other customers. She wondered how long she could keep her secrets hidden. People came from far and wide to taste her delicious dishes. Nneka was busy every day. She made more money than ever before, but she could not shake the feeling of guilt. Nneka's food mama puts continued to thrive, and she became known as the best cook in the village. Chidi became a regular customer at Nneka's mama puts. He often watched her closely. He noticed how nervous she seemed. He began to suspect that something was not right. One evening, Chidi decided to follow Nneka home. He hid in the shadows and watched as she sneaked out of her house. He followed her to the nearby village and saw her approach a man. Chidi's suspicion grew. He continued to follow Nneka, watching her every move. He saw her knock out the man and take his manhood. Chidi was horrified, but determined to uncover the truth. The next day, Chidi confronted Nneka. "I know what you're doing," he said quietly. "I saw you last night." Nneka's face turned pale. She tried to deny it, but Chidi's gaze was unwavering. "Please, don't tell anyone," she begged. "I did it to save my business." Chidi shook his head. "This is wrong, Nneka. You must stop." Nneka nodded, tears streaming down her face. She promised to stop using the secret ingredients, but deep down, she knew it would be hard to keep that promise. Nneka tried to go back to cooking without the secret ingredients, but her food was not as tasty anymore. Customers stopped coming, and her maputs became empty again. Nneka felt hopeless. One night, she had a terrible dream. She saw the faces of the men she had harmed. They were angry and sad. Nneka woke up crying. She knew she had to make things right. Nneka decided to seek help. She went to Mama Ife and told her everything. Mama Ife listened carefully and nodded. "You must find a way to atone for your actions," she said. "Only then will you find peace." Nneka was determined to make things right. She decided to help the families of the men she had harmed. She visited each family and confessed her actions. They were shocked and angry, but some forgave her. Nneka worked hard to repay her debt. She used her cooking skills to help the community. She cooked for the poor and the sick. Slowly, she began to feel a sense of peace. Chidi watched Nneka's transformation with interest. He saw how hard she was working to make amends. He decided to give her a chance. One day, Chidi approached Nneka. "I see you are trying to make things right," he said. "I want to help you." Nneka was surprised, but grateful. She and Chidi became friends. They worked together to help the village. Nneka's heart slowly healed, and she found a new purpose in life. Years passed, and Nneka's past became a distant memory. She continued to cook and help the community. She never used the secret ingredients again. She had learned her lesson. Nneka's story became a legend in the village. People remembered her as the woman who became her mystic and found redemption. Nneka was finally at peace. But deep in her heart, Nneka knew that some secrets could never be forgotten. She carried the weight of her past with her, but she used it as a reminder to always do what was right. And so, Nneka lived the rest of her days as a symbol of hope and redemption. After helping the village, Nneka's food mama puts began to thrive, and she started getting customers without using the secret ingredients. Nneka's mama put was always busy. She used her success to help others, donating food and money to those in need. Despite her success, Nneka never forgot the lessons she had learned. She continued to cook with love and care, using only the best ingredients. She was grateful for the support of her friends and the forgiveness of the villagers. One day, a man named Obinna came to the market. He was a wealthy merchant who had heard about Nneka's amazing food. He decided to try it for himself. Obinna bought a plate of rice, beans, and stew. He took one bite and was instantly impressed. "This is the best food I have ever tasted," he said to Nneka. "I would like to invest in your business and help you expand." Nneka was surprised but grateful. She accepted Obinna's offer, and together they opened a new restaurant in the village. The restaurant was a huge success, and Nneka's fame grew even more. Nneka's new restaurant attracted even more customers. People came from all over the region to taste her food. Nneka was happy and content, knowing that she had finally found success the right way. Despite her success, Nneka faced a new challenge. With the growth of her business, she needed more help. She hired several cooks to assist her, but she found it difficult to trust them. She was afraid they might discover her past and use it against her. Nneka decided to share her story with her new employees. She gathered them together and told them about her past mistakes and the lessons she had learned. She hoped that by being honest, she could earn their trust and loyalty. The cooks listened carefully to Nneka's story. Some were shocked, but others admired her honesty and determination. They promised to keep her secrets and work hard to help her succeed. With the support of her new team, Nneka's restaurant continued to thrive. She was grateful for their help and dedication. She knew that she couldn't have achieved success without them. Nneka continued her good work in the village. But one day, she heard a rumor. A man from a neighboring village had disappeared. People whispered that it was similar to the disappearances from years ago. Nneka's heart raced. She hoped it was just a coincidence. She feared that someone might discover her past and blame her again. She tried to stay calm and focused on her work. Chidi, now a close friend, noticed Nneka's worry. "Is everything all right?" he asked. Nneka forced a smile. "Just a bit tired," she said. But inside she was scared. What if someone found out the truth? Chidi decided to look into the disappearance. He didn't tell Nneka because he didn't want to worry her. He asked around and gathered information. The villagers were scared and confused. Chidi found out that the missing man was last seen near the market. Chidi remembered the dark times when men disappeared and feared it was happening again. Chidi kept his findings to himself for now. He didn't want to accuse anyone without proof, but he stayed vigilant, watching for any suspicious activity. Nneka tried to focus on her cooking and helping the villagers, but she couldn't shake her feeling that something was wrong. One night, she heard a noise outside her house. She peeked out and saw Chidi talking to a group of men. Her heart pounded. Were they coming for her? She stepped outside and called Chidi. "What's going on?" she asked. Chidi looked serious. "Nneka, there's been another disappearance," he said. "We're trying to find out what happened." Nneka's hands shook. "Do they think it's me?" she asked in a whisper. Chidi shook his head. "No one is accusing you, but we need to be careful." Nneka nodded, trying to calm her racing heart. She hoped that her past wouldn't come back to haunt her. Days passed and the tension in the village grew. More men started disappearing. The villagers were scared and restless. They held meetings to discuss what to do. Nneka felt guilty and scared. She knew she hadn't done anything wrong this time, but her past actions haunted her. She worried that people would start suspecting her again. One evening, Chidi came to see her. "Nneka, we need to talk," he said. Nneka's heart sank. "What is it?" she asked. Chidi looked serious. "Some people are starting to remember the past. They are asking questions." Nneka felt a lump in her throat. "What should I do?" she asked. Chidi sighed. "We need to find out who is really behind these disappearances. If we can solve the mystery, people will stop suspecting you." Nneka nodded. "I'll do whatever it takes," she said. She knew she had to clear her name and protect the village. Chidi and Nneka decided to work together. They talked to the families of the missing men and gathered clues. They discovered that all the men had been seen near the market before they disappeared. Nneka remembered the market mama puts and the people she had seen there. She tried to think of anyone who might be suspicious. She and Chidi made a list of names and decided to investigate them. One name stood out: Emeka, a new vendor who had recently started selling at the market. He seemed friendly, but something about him made Nneka uneasy. Chidi and Nneka attended the next village meeting. The villagers were angry and scared. They demanded answers. Chidi spoke up. "We've been investigating the disappearances," he said. "We think we have a lead." The villagers listened carefully. Chidi explained about Emeka and his suspicious behavior. Some villagers agreed to help watch Emeka and gather more information. Nneka felt a mix of hope and fear. She hoped they were on the right track and that they could find the real culprit soon. The villagers organized a search party. They watched Emeka's mama puts and followed him discreetly. Nneka and Chidi joined them, keeping a close eye on Emeka's movements. One evening, they saw Emeka leaving the market with a heavy bag. He walked quickly and looked around nervously. The search party followed him from a distance. Emeka led them to a small hidden hut outside the village. The search party watched as he entered the hut and closed the door behind him. They waited quietly, planning their next move. The search party decided to confront Emeka the next morning. They gathered at the hut and knocked on the door. Emeka opened it. Looking surprised and nervous. "What's going on?" Emeka asked. "We need to talk," Chidi said. "We've been investigating the disappearances, and we have some questions for you." Emeka looked scared. He stepped back and led them in. Inside the hut, they found clues that linked Emeka to the missing men. There were pieces of clothing and personal items that belonged to the men. Emeka tried to explain, but the villagers were angry. They demanded answers and accused him of being the culprits. Emeka confessed that he had been taking the men, but he insisted he was not working alone. He mentioned a mysterious partner who had been helping him. The villagers were shocked and wanted to know more. Emeka agreed to help them catch the partner. He suggested setting a trap to lure the partner out. The villagers agreed and made a plan. The next night, they set the trap. They pretended to be leaving the village, hoping the partner would show up. They hid and waited, watching the huts closely. As they waited, a figure approached the huts. The villagers watched in silence, their hearts pounding. The figure entered the huts and the villagers sprang into action. They rushed in and caught the partner red-handed. It was a man named Okechukwu, a villager who had been working with Emeka. The villagers were shocked and angry. Okechukwu tried to escape, but the villagers held him tight. They brought him and Emeka to the village square, where everyone gathered to see the culprits. The village elders held a trial for Emeka and Okechukwu. The villagers demanded justice for the missing men. The elders listened to both sides and made their decision. Emeka and Okechukwu were found guilty. The villagers decided to banish them from the village. Nneka watched as Emeka and Okechukwu were led away. She felt a strange mix of relief and sadness. She was glad the real culprits had been caught. With Emeka and Okechukwu gone, the village slowly returned to normal. The villagers were grateful to Chidi and Nneka for their help in solving the mystery. Nneka's name was cleared, and the people began to trust her again. Don't forget to check in the video description for other interesting stories. Subscribe to this channel and turn on the notification bell so that you won't miss out on our upcoming stories. Thank you for watching. Bye.